Welcome everybody. I have two messages of the day, big ones from yesterday and today, as well as my 7-deck read on the table. You might see my daughter and her doggy come back at some point, so no biggie. But they might walk through the screen, just so you know. And I want to get right into it because there's a lot here to bring. So much information, such cool information. So please stay with me as much as you can. If you can't watch it all in one reading, you can do it in, several readings or several sittings. Let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths first. Another deep breath. Another deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings out to you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. The last thing I got from the end of this read too was the Wicked Witch is dead, so however you take that, that's how it should come to you. But that was definitely coming in very specifically at the end of the read. Let's go ahead and roll the die for today. By the way, it was 11:44 on the clock when I started. It's 11:46 now. The 11:44 is the alignment of truth and balance, and the 44 of grounding, integrating, and mastering, how to receive love. The 46 of the two children together, loving each other. So for today, which is the 27th, 7/27/2022, the inspiration of the Ace of Wands with the 7 of the Chariot, 2022. And here we have the 11 again of the alignment of truth and balance, which is justice, which is also Libra energy here. And we have the Mars here, so aggressive masculine energy here, the masculine energy. And then we also have Scorpio here, which is another aggressive energy. So very masculine and seeking balance within that. And that actually came up as one of the first cards today, was the King of Wands, masculine, seeking balance. Okay. So Scorpio, Mars, which is Scorpio and Aries typically, and then the 11 of Justice and Libra, which is also the 11th month, which goes into Scorpio as well. And I was getting information about that too. Ophiuchus has been coming up a lot lately too, which is just 1 week at the end of November actually. In the 13 signs, it's only a week for Scorpio, and it's later in the month. And then it goes right into Sagittarius, I think, around the 29th to the 17th, I think, is Ophiuchus. So that was coming up also this week. Let's get right into this. I'm going to show you, I'm going to do the read from yesterday first because there are messages that flow into each other. So this is the one from yesterday. It's the same read both days with the underlying energies over here, the Metatron deck, the Nature's Whispers deck, and then the Shaman Dreams at the bottom. The underlying energy piles are on the left, and then I always end up having to count a number of cards on the right there for a message as well, and they just came out organically. This was from yesterday, and today's cards came out, each deck came out one card, and then 2 cards. So 1, 1, and then 2, and then the piles I had to count, but this was from yesterday. So this one started with the piles being 26, 18, and 40, which is the Page of Wands, the Moon, which is the new moon is tomorrow, and then the 40 of the Page of Cups, that very innocent, pure love. So yesterday, of course, was the 26 of the Page of Wands, and the day added up to 39, which is the Knight of Cups. Very beautiful energy yesterday, of very young and loving, inspired energy yesterday with the Page of Wands and the Knight of Cups. And then today would be the Page of Cups along with the Ace of Wands, that, that big inspiration, that passion, that ignition, to get you going in that Page of Cups, which is that sweet, innocent love. So we have that 26 of the Page of Wands with the Moon and the Page of Cups. And often the twins come up as the Page of Cups and the Page of Wands, right? That very loving energy and the very passionate energy. And then the 18 of the purple moon, which is the 0 point field in the space between. And the space between very much came up in the second read as well. So that was at 11:04 to 11:11 was when I put the cards out yesterday. The energy of 18 is also Cancer energy of the moon, amidst the Page of Wands and Page of Cups, and the Page of Wands romance with the Page of Cups. The underlying energy of the 41, which is the Ace of Cups, of self-love, spiritual love, and new love, as above, so below, with the healing energy of the 43 and coming together in joy and happiness, and the 37 of unconditional love of the King of Cups, which has to do with him needing to look up and detach from drama. The love and compassion for each other, pause to receive healing. And when I get those messages, I always imagine the magnet above my head pulling out all the crap in my etheric body that doesn't need to be there, that's not from highest good. And then when that's done, to allow the healing hands of Archangel Sandalphon, or as I refer to him, Saint Dolphin, to then fill in that empty space that was just cleared out with the love and light energy. The King of Cups detached from drama and look up in the sunrise. The 11:26 time right there, which is justice, truth, and balance, and again the Page of Wands, the 26, which 26 came up twice today as well. That pure inspiration of the young child, especially the masculine energy. The 7 of the Chariot and amping up positive emotions, with the 22 and that leap of faith, with the 3 of abundance and celebrating differences, with the number 4, or 14 rather, assurance here. The little fairy girl creating ripples with the ancient ones close by, where the grass needs water here, which mine definitely does. I have to actually water my plants today. The 22 of the Fool's Journey and the leap of faith, dancing across the tightrope with catchment below, a basin or drain. The vehicle is water along with the breath. And that came up again today, again with the air and water as part of the human body. With a running start to take that leap, to dance. A ballet of the fairies, spreading the magic fairy dust. From twinkle toes to little fairy angel, mother and daughter, fool and chariot, Aries and Cancer coming up. The 722 of Mary Magdalene feast day. And that was actually when I was in Atlanta with my daughter. We were moving. And on that day, we had to go to U-Haul. But that was a good lesson I should probably tell you about, because when we went to get her car set up for the U-Haul, it was only supposed to take an hour and a half, and we ended up being there like 4 hours. But I kept reminding my daughter, it's going the way it's supposed to go. And then we ended up getting it so cheap because they didn't charge us for labor because it took them so long. So what was supposed to be, I think, $600 ended up being $250. So it was just to remember that when you're resisting something, to stop resisting, because there's a blessing that maybe you don't see yet, and you may never see it because it might come around in a different way. It's just remembering to have faith in these kind of circumstances, that there's always a message there for you. So the unicorn and the dolphin, where land meets sea, is very much coming up here, that mother-daughter energy of the mother unicorn and the daughter dolphin of the sea, where land meets sea, the birds of the land and the flying fish, and the abundance in our differences, the 14 of patience in the 4 seasons, when you see very little growth in the spring. Right? Thinking that we won't get spring again for a long time, but maybe that didn't last very long, and now everything's so dry in the summer. At 11:42 is justice, and the 42 of the 2 of Cups. The underlying energy of the farther gate. And prior to that was the 54 crossing, the message of the half of the tree trunk as a bridge across the mountains. And then the 55 and 56 came up together, of the farther gate and the wall. And then 21 came up as the first breath, and 9 of the one dancing on one foot. It's like a green moth dancing on one foot, that balancing act of the hermit. After the Page of Swords is initiation, 2 gates and 2 suns, and the truth in a bold step forward, cracking open the bat cave and the truth, the keyhole shape of the dog and Dino the dinosaur, to think you lived a hole in the wall, keeping the outside out and keeping yourself clear, the wall that Jack built, and the hole or window that Jill insisted on. But you know how men are, always needing it bigger and better, and blasting out a whole door instead. The truth of one, and knowing of 2, the masculine and feminine, and the whole, WHOLE, of the first breath and the beginner's mind, starting fresh in a balancing act of the one and the all, the hermit and the world, the Virgo and the Pisces, the midpoint and the 1 foot into another world, while 1 foot still in this world. All it takes is 1 step for humankind. The green moth, with 1 foot on green earth on toe, and the mountain pose, like the Karate Kid, to test the water on another planet, sphere, or world, where Virgo holds Pisces in place as the world spins, so Pisces can listen to what the star and planets have to say to them. The truth of the father and the blast of to the moon, when the mother, then the mother, a ship to get home for shelter. And for shelter. So again, the energy of the masculine, the truth of the father and his need to blast to the moon, and then the mother, a ship to get home, right? The after effect. But, don't forget about this. You need a way out. You need a break to stop the car. And for shelter. The world and the 9, the universe and their council. And at 11:55 to 56, which were the 2 cards just pulled out of the farther gate, and the wall was the next one with the hole in it. 1 step for human and 1 giant step for the multiverse. Okay, so the 1 step for the human is the 21 of our world, and then 1 giant step for the multiverse, which has to do with the 9, right? The council outside of us. And then 11:57, which is justice and the 3 of swords of the separation, as a plane or helicopter came by overhead, really faded away though. I could barely hear it. And then the train started blowing. So I not only had the sound of the plane, but the train as well. So planes, trains, and automobiles are coming up here as well. And I'm getting Dinah, blow your horn as well, with Dino coming up. Dino the dinosaur and Dinah to blow her horn. At 39 is the Knight of Cups of the green heart healing, the Emerald Order. Order, the emerald, the M, and the herald, and the aim. The emerald came up, and I looked up ERALD to see if it was a word, and it comes up as a word with AME. So what it means is emerald is the letter M with herald. M to separate without the AMA or AMA, or the divine feminine pearl diver, without toxic byproduct of improper digestion, which is taking in anything, whether it's food or words or thoughts, whatever it is for you. The camel or goat is fair without father or village, mother, grandmother, their origins, without a governess, a housekeeper, a mistress, or a wet nurse, without the I, without the now. The camel or goat, fair, which is also coming up as hair, the camel or goat hair, but without all of these, their origins, their history, without the I, without the now, without the loving, without the rain, without troubling another, without human beings, without wounding, without a large amount, without paper or old ruins, without the founder or the organizer, the babysitter, the housewife, the paternal uncle, the maternal aunt, without the mother-in-law, the flute, the water, the horse, or the dog. The emerald is the M of the urgent wave, the old ancient, the original, the grand, and the offspring, the progeny. The emerald equals the mountain with an urgent need to wave or receive wave of the ancient ones, the original ones, and then their future lineage. The old and the new, the past and the future, all collapsed into one at 12:12, the two ancient ones hanging out side by side in wisdom, seeing new perspectives. So again, the emerald order. Then the next card, as soon as I went into it, was the 44, exactly the picture that I just described, that I hadn't even looked at it yet. The next card of the 44 is literally the picture of the mountain as the pillar, as the lighthouse, with the waves beating up against its walls, the beacon of light, like the moth to the flame, the ocean to the mountain, like the water to the land, to create and light up. The emerald, the Atlas Hercules, which is her harvest, her progeny, and the Knight of Cups to one who's bored, grounding and integrating and mastering how to receive love, or them. The Knight of Cups from the number 44 3D lap dance on the 4D Rainbow Bridge, which is the number 33 to the 5D, where Metatron, number 27, which it is today, is the Ace of Wands, that inspiration, someone lighting a fire under your butt to get you going over that bridge. To arc, the wind beneath your wings, that's Metatron there, to get you going to 5D on the number 22, on the Fool's Journey, of freedom of the 5, to be the message in the bottle that you are, with a shell as a mouthpiece, like the oboe and the reed, which I happened to play when I was little, by the way. The instrument whose mouthpiece is separate from the vessel, the cork that can be removed from the bottle, unplugged, speak up and be heard, the herd of intention, receiving ancestors, appreciation and healing through compassion, to where the land meets the sea, where the natives or aborigines meet the new visitors in peace treaties, and where the shaman meets his truth in presenting or present to the Queen of Wands orange, stretching and lunging and connecting and attuning to her divine lineage, powering up, as the carpenter bee yellow pollinates with their magic for joy and happiness. And by the way, hope and happiness keeps coming up too, since that movie where the little boy rescued a baby and named it Hope. So powering up the mountain with the Queen of Cups 38, which is the Mary Magdalene energy of Buttercup Yellow, activated light body, powering up the mountain and her waves. Hercules, Hercules, her harvest. She feeds the pillar so the brick house can become a lighthouse instead. As she powers herself, she pours herself on me. She pours herself on me. If a man could be two places, that's coming from there. As she pours herself on me, the wave and the mountain, the waves to the mountain, 38 to 44, the numbers here, which happen to be my soul to my life lesson number, she becomes her own pillar or mountain. As Christ at the Golden Gate, the number 66, or the two spirals of the rose heart coming together, of the 33, stands as the Merkaba at the gates of the Rainbow Bridge, the touchstone, the pillar to pillar. At 12:31, the wisdom of the chaos of the sun and life, as we know it. To the 32 of the journey, where she powers up the mountain at the Golden Gate Bridge, which is referenced then Shasta. The mountain is just above San Francisco in California. As he arcs. And just as I wrote this, she powers up the mountain at the Golden Gate Bridge, which is referencing Shasta, as he arcs. And right as I wrote that, my daughter was cleaning out her room as she's moving in, and she found my old book from elementary school where I had pictures of myself. You know, we were supposed to do a report on, I guess, ourselves and our life. And it's titled, This Is Me. So that was significant. I don't have it in here anymore, but I'd show it to you if I did. But this is me. So as she powers up the mountain at the Golden Gate Bridge and Shasta, and he arcs, this is me, and sparks to cross to the beach, or moving from the electromagnetic ocean, the mountain to the 5D calm waters at the beach, the West Coast Rocky Mountain coast to the soft sands of the East Coast, sea to shining sea. She powers up the lineage to come forward in a suspension bridge, right? So the rainbow reverse, the inverse of the rainbow is the suspension bridge. And the suspense of the 11th hour, like the retrograde momentum to propel him to arc in the upswing of the sine wave, the undulation. Undulation is literally undue, the source on, or undo the tie on, which is the tiger lioness. Untie the tie on, the releasing of the knots of the tiger and lioness. The tie, G-E-R, is the source God urgency to the lioness. The ESS, which means moving in a changing direction, in the shape of an S. The sine wave, undulation, is literally the definition of ESS. The undulation, or the ash tree, which ash is bright light in Pleiadian. The ash tree or bright light family, the ace and the E flat. The metal tube that connects the reed to the instrument. The horse, the high-performing athlete. An ES of rapid cataract, vessel, death, and the ox, OX, which comes up today as well. The clam, the bivalve, like the mussel in the oyster. Or the ass or donkey, donning a key for the monk. As the shaman presents a flute to her and or a peace pipe. No reeds or connectors involved. Just fluting and tooting, or tooting and fluting, notice that's the T and the F, as the twin flames you-ting, T-I-N-G, and looting. So either looting as in stealing, but also lu as in Lucifer, ting, the fallen angel, right, when the bell tings, the ting of when an angel gets their wings, or the temple where the idol is kept, the assembly or parliament, the court, the thing or issue, the white, the order, the purification prior to the emerald order. At 12:55 to 56, again, the 55 and 56 time came up along with those two cards side by side, and seeing those new perspectives of the truth and your knowing, right? The logic of the masculine, knowing of the feminine. The Page of Wands at the bottom of it all, and the 53 of the Knight of Swords at the top of it all. Codependency and the key to their freedom is the 53 at the bottom, the Knight of Swords. And at the top is the 29 of the Blue Mother and the Star of Bethlehem. Remember, Bethlehem is to be, to the nth degree, l'chaim, to life. The tree trunk father divided, and the Blue Mother present to gifts from the stars. He and his trickle-down theory, and she in her knowing. Mother and sunshine and dreams of conquering fears, one step at a time. From orange to gold, on the wings of angels, and arcing angels, arcing angles. From orange to gold, on wings of angels, and arcing angles, on the journey between worlds, through the aqua rose gold mother's heart of love, and then the number 2 of the High Priestess Divine Feminine reflecting in time out or the purple moon. The new moon, which is tomorrow, only she can see, the 0-point aura of the toroidal field, and the key being her authentic self, the 46 of being 2 children in one, the masculine and the feminine, and opening the door to the Om of the 30 that the Om symbol looks like, with an arc, or actually the suspension bridge above the 30, and the diamond on top. The void and the 0 point, with pause, rest, and retreat, to retreat, walking away and within, with water for emotional well-being, the vehicle, or the dolphin, the icosahedron, where icosa means I matter, so I matter, but I'm also matter, the vehicle of infiltration, the crystal lattice for the sun rays to penetrate. At 1:08, the magician and the strength of the dance back and forth in the manifestation of your dreams. The 8 of leadership in the dark to light, with flame in right hand, ring and 3 keys in the left. I was just getting piano keys. I was getting cross keys too, which is actually a place where I jumped out of a plane. And so here the leadership of dark to light with flame in right hand and the ring and 3 keys in the left, answering the call to dance. with the 35, which is the wounded warrior, and the Kundalini release, the undulating sine wave of untapped energy. The 36 of the Atlas, the inner child, with a map of their inner world, to hear and know me, with the 45 of endings in the sunset each day, with compassion that you are held in this every day in the sunset. And remember, the purging has to do with taking in too much light. So if you take in too much light, whether you're out in the sun all day or just really high vibrational all day, too much, so you purge to release it, just like you go to the bathroom to get rid of the extra food. The 20 is the cosmos mirroring you with 12 faces, 20 points, and 30 sides of the wake-up call, the judgment. The 20, which is the 2 of the divine feminine high priestess, and the 0 of source embodiment of the human to back them up. The 13 of the transition of death and the air, the 4-sided pyramid, 2 roofs together, an octahedron, 2 squares together at 1/8 turn from each other, which is the star, the 8 points with 2 on either end, the ones you don't see, like when you see a 6-point star, it's not 6, it's 8, because it's actually the Merkaba with a point looking at you and then a point on the other side that you can't see. The 28 of the twin flames in the transition to fly free in air that you breathe. The 26 of the Page of Wands and that pink little life bulb in your womb with the Page of Wands, Magdalena, scalloped, phased array as the child in the womb phases her rays out to the sun's rays, meeting them halfway, to the ice cube on the land, which is really interesting. The ice cube came up and then the snow also came up. But we dumped out the ice yesterday, and then the ice cube came up yesterday and today. The 18 of the moon for grounding support here in Mother Earth. So the energies of the 3-sided pyramid coming together, and then the not even the 4-sided pyramid, but 2 roofs, right, which are basically 2 V's with ends on either side, as opposed to the pointed roof of the 4-sided. So it's not the 3-sided pyramid, but the 4-sided pyramid that comes together like 2 roofs coming together. But that's a different kind of roof than the one that is a V with 2 sides on the end, and that becomes a cube, literally. So one looks like a diamond or a kite, depending on the angle you're looking at it, and then the one that we normally see for houses becomes a cube if it is that squared size. So they're showing me the difference between them, the difference between 2 4-sided pyramids. So then at 125 is the Magician and the Knight of Wands, with the 23 of the King of Wands in duality, of the 2 fish of the yin and yang, and the King of Wands being off balance and seeking that balance because of the 31 of the chaos of light and life received, and transmuting. You notice transmuting says mute, which has to do with sound. Transmuting, alchemy, the light and the shadow pack, the 10 of the great wheel and that high vibration of the new dawn. Welcome back to the valley of the sun, the phoenix rising, the sun's phased array over the valley of the sine wave path, the winding river through the mountains with the cotton fields with voltage containing the sun's rays in the valley of the shadow, which is shade, of death, which is just a valley or depression, a transition. I will see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. So I will has to do with your free will. I will to see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. And then evil was coming up as, because my name being Evelyn, some people used to tease me Evil Lynn. And so evil was coming up in respect to that, as EVIL equals the E, the capital E, which is the 1, is equal and congruent to the V of creation of the I am, and then the capital L, which is at the right angle. The Evelyn literally means little Eve. For little Eve, and Ev then means that too. It has to do with the little girl of the Eve. The Eve or Evelyn plus IL is in evil. So Ev and Il. IL is just he in French, which equals also number 49, which is the Get Your Wish card, and being happy with self, as well as the year, he, haste, speed, the sole of the foot, the arch, the eye, the unprotected part, a gust of wind, in a hurry, to see, province, or French countryside, which is where Mary Magdalene Jesus went after he didn't die on the cross. Not the capital, but the area of activity, the responsibility and knowledge of the countryside. And so evil equals little Eve and he in the French countryside, which is, again, Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The sole of the foot, or the arch, is the open, unprotected part, not the city, the calloused part, the year of 49, of self-satisfaction, of acting responsibly and knowingly on behalf of self and all your inner connections with luck and nature and self-love, which is sovereignty. Where Jesus and Mary Magdalene in the south of France, on the way to see Sarah on the French Riviera, in the valley of the shadow of death, is a rest stop in the shade prior to transition, where Eve is ill, going on without him in a change of dimension at 149, which is the magician embodiment, and then the 49 of the being happy with yourself. So again, there's that energy. The story of Jesus and Mary Magdalene was that and the church that I was at, that I told you about many times before, where I saw myself as a little girl in the corner, that church is actually the place where they said Jesus died, on the way as him and Mary Magdalene were going to see Sarah, who was married in the French Riviera, and on the way there was this rest stop church type of place where he ended up passing away there because, he had a lot of issues after being hung on a cross and all that. So that's the story. And I think I brought up the name of the chapel. I can't think of it right now, but I brought that up for you before. But that's coming up again here in the south of France. So then the dimension comes up here where Jesus changes dimensions and stays in connection in their relationship. The dimension, which is diamonds, connection. The two, and then diamonds is two almonds. Two all-monds, which is worlds. Mouths, moons, and hands. To say, to tell, and to forecast. Diamonds is he, she, you, day, slide, godly, divine, cry, or order to advance or turn left. Wild step, journey, mark, track, imprint, die. When the day sky is expensive or dear, regarding water and the delay of it. The double divine water slide with orders to turn left on the wild journey and transition of dark night with delays when the day and sky are expensive and water is dear, which is right now, right? Because we're having a drought. The double divine water slide with orders to turn left on the wild journey and transition of dark night with delays when the day and sky are expensive and the water is dear. To the high vibe new dawn of the emotion of laughter, which is Aquarius. Aqua and Rias means the water and laughter, and water is emotion. Aquarius is the emotion of laughter. When sudden gold there's a sudden need of golding up and replenishment, lighting up to infinitum, through the spiral heart to infinitum, to the gold. The gold is the G of God, the old ancient one, projecting through the page of swords, or the 54, the message from a castle in a cloud at 0 point field, cones up and steepled doorways, just like the roofs that are, you see in Asia that are really, they look like sine wave lines as opposed to straight lines. They're very curved roofs. Just a quick show, okay? So like these roofs, and then the steepled doors were coming up right here. So the cones up and steepled doorways considered the pillar and the capstone on top. With sine wave trail, or in other words, the delay behind the rocket ship taking off for the castle in a cloud, the sine wave is the trail it leaves behind, leaving breadcrumbs for those behind them at sunrise, the 49 of self-satisfaction and family and circles of life, where the circles are never really complete, they're spirals. Jetting off in juxtaposition and rising above in sine waves or circles of living. the 22 of the Fool's Journey with Archangel Sandalphon, or as I refer to him, Saint Dolphin, who's with you now with the Lyran constellation between the northern cross of the Swan and Cygnus and Hercules, or her harvest. So then, of course, I had to look up Lyra, and there was this energy because the Southern Cross came up yesterday, and lots of times the renditions of the constellations, when you look them up, can be very different depending on the perspective they are in the sky, as well as the drawing. So what I get one day from a message may be very different than another day, or they may not line up with another picture. It may not make sense. It doesn't really matter. It's the message that comes through that was important. But what I was getting between the Southern Cross and the Northern Cross, because when I was looking back, I was seeing Orion really more pointed at the Northern Cross, which is the Swan, as opposed to the Southern Cross, which is below Centauri's legs. They were showing me there's a portal between the two crosses, the cross of the Swan and the Southern Cross. So the Lyra constellation, which is between the Swan, or the Northern Cross, and Cygnus, and Hercules, her harvest, and then Vega coming up as the main star in Lyra, his cross to bear, and her harvest, with Orpheus, musician and poet, who he was. So Orpheus is the Lyra constellation. So Orpheus was a musician and a poet, so the very sweet energy of Archangel Sandalphon. His life was ended by the Bacchantes, and his instrument was thrown in the river. But Zeus sent the eagle to go get his lyra and placed both in the sky. The music drowned out the sirens' calls in order for Jason and the Argonauts to have safe passage through and not get tempted. And again, the lyra is also called King Arthur's or King David's harp in England, and the lyra is the falling eagle, or the vulture, carrying the harp to the sky. So his wife was also bitten at the wedding on the heel by vipers and passed away, when Orpheus played songs that made the gods cry, and even Hades fell for him, allowing her to return from the underworld, as long as he doesn't look back at her until they're both out of hot water, or in other words, out of hell. He turned, though, before she arrived, never to see her again. The 22 of the journey and the 21 of the world, of the Fool Dolphin and the Divine Feminine Indigo of the world, Lyra and Sirius, and IND was coming up here, which means 49 and indigo, and IL also means 49, which came up today here, and also means he. So it's coming up as the 49 is the masculine indigo, and very serious, whereas the feminine is that, like the dolphin fool with an open heart taking that leap of faith. So but the masculine's also living as an indigo in a divine feminine world, because most of them are very surrounded by feminines. So then the 29 came up here, which is the Three of Wands being present in the moment. And so presently there was contemplation. Oh, I want to show you this too. I didn't notice that before. I drew this at the top when it talked about the pillar and the capstone, right? The roof and then the capstone doorway of the steepled door. And then down here is the picture of Lyra, which is literally the pillar with the capstone upside down, which needs to be turned around and placed on top to cover it for protection. So presently contemplation of the butterfly lioness, the mother admiring her masculine inspired daughter, and the King of Wands admiring her as they see their ship coming in. And remember, Vega is a white dwarf, like Sirius has a white dwarf, Sirius B. And they're part of the summer triangle, whereas I talked about the winter triangle of the other planets from Betelgeuse. So both triangles are coming up as the two triangles coming together, along with the southern and northern crosses. You see the parallel here. And Sirius is the brightest star. Vega is the 5th brightest star. Between them is Canopus, Arcturus, and then Alpha Centauri A, are the brightest stars. Vega is the fifth. And Deneb is one of the summer triangle stars, and that's in the Swan. So Altair, Deneb, and then and Vega. Okay, so now we have the two triangles, the summer and winter triangles coming together, as well as the portal of the crosses. And I didn't look this up, which I want to look this up real quick. When we were driving back, we saw a big dome, and some of you may actually be familiar with what it is. Let me just look it up real quick, see if it comes up. It was called Luckstone, I think, because that's what it said at the entrance, and I think that had to do with the big dome in the woods. Yeah, so it's stones. Let's see. Luckstone, it says Atlanta Stevens Construction and Demolition. And then Beetleton Plant. So it looks like a stone manufacturer or something like that. But there was this big dome we saw there. It looked more like a retreat, or maybe it was a manufacturing plant. I don't know. I'll have to look more into that too if I can find out what that was. So at 310, which is the Empress and the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune. Yes. The 3 is the Empress and the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune, that high vibration. King of Wands, you are worth it. As we were just talking about the ship coming in, right? The present contemplation of the feminine, of the butterfly lioness, and it was coming up as the daughter with her inner lion, her masculine lion, or it could be like, my daughter with her pet, her beast. The mother admiring the masculine inspired daughter, and the King of Wands admiring her. As they see their ship coming in, the King of Wands is then coming up as you are worth it, with the high vibe Empress here, the mothership, to imagine this scene. As you don't really see him in the picture, you just see the feminine on a beach site with a little, rowboat on the beach, and this big, beautiful horizon with a big flowering energy at the horizon. The 30 of the Union, adventure, hovering in suspension bridge shell, creating a Y where there was none before, and the 38 of the Queen of Cups, an acceptance of love as her vines grow around his trunk. She's growing on him as he bends toward her. And then there were 18 cards. At the bottom of it all was the 31 of chaos and being spontaneous. At the top of it was the 32 of the journey to trust your own understanding of your filter, hovering above and bridging two lands on the journey of the 44, seeking beauty, to the 33 of seeking being gentle with yourself, in transition to renewal of peace, in a rebirth of the Emperor, the trunk and the new little sprout, and pausing to touch the trunk like a touchstone, a grounding mechanism, the touchstone for luck, a fresh approach to another world, the Emperor's world, and the 49, or 49ers may be coming up as well, to heighten your vitality as your natural self. And then the coming together of the 43 as love matters, allowing the ship to sail and the spaceship to enter. So letting mass go away and letting space enter. The 19 of the sun, and shift your energy as the mothership, sunshine. Hovering, it was just 4404, hovering to, and it's 12:28 on the clock, which is the hanging out of the twin flames. Hovering to the 50 of the happy family, the emotional fulfillment, the family potential gateway to the heart of the tree. The 16 of sudden inner truths of what's at the bottom of the tree, as the 28 and that choice of path and the twin flames are preparing the ethers around the earth for the bountiful harvest of the 39, the Knight of Cups, the clear endeavor of the winter wonderland village, the 41 of self-love, spiritual love, and big new love, to be in service. The mermaid or sea maid to the seahorse, feeding the baby seahorse, which is coming up as the crux under Centauri, the horse, the 45 of the purging of rough waters for calm water empowerment on the East Coast, with the 47 of the Seven of Cups, synchronicities in heaven in your eyes of laughter of children playing on their horses, as in Avatar. The 18 of the new moon tomorrow of new experiences and possibilities on your horse avatar in a bouquet on butterfly round table to reach out and be spontaneous, pulling in a child perhaps to be more playful. And then at 3:27 is the Empress, and the 27 of today again, the Ace of Wands, and the 28 of the Twin Flames, to the hollow, humble twin flame mouse and natural ornaments. The 37 of the King of Wands and the Magician's Sword, as the King, not the King of Wands, but the King of Cups, as the Magician's Sword, as the King of Cups, with confidence in his magic to bring the whole truth to the wailing tree's inner turmoil for reconciliations. And then the Knight of Cups in detox repair, so taking some time out to pamper oneself. Both 27 in the heart home. At the top of it here is the 13 of transition of the dream thief refusing the call, right? The dream thief is like the flying monkeys in the Wizard of Oz, who try to prevent you from staying awake to put you back to sleep. Getting sleepy so that the 15 of the dust devil moves out of stagnation, moving out of the stagnation. The horse bore the crux, or in other words, the cross to bear, and is now moving out an unnatural death or transition in child's pose, the fool's embrace, the falling angel on the journey transmuting pain, hanging out in the dragon's hoard, again is that energy of the child's pose of cuddling up, keeping your stuff close. And then it's 333 of protecting the future by curling up. The 57 of the unmarked trail and separation, the uncharted territory, and the revelation or natural pressure that must be sustained for long time results, as the 19 is the sun, and that falling angel gathers all the parts of their soul back to their avatar, right? So all of the fractured soul is now falling back into the body as it came up the other day as well. The 7 of the chariot and the blank canvas, like the song Unwritten, the sacred covenant of the root girl, 46, which is very much of the inner children, and the tidy house. The 46, which is a 1 for clarity and organization, and then the 41 of the moon maiden, holding the sphere up for new beginnings at 336 of the Empress and the Atlas energy of the weight of the world. The 61 of the risk, which is also my birth year, and the risk of the whale's song and the resonance of deep water portal and coming up for air. Diving deep again, number 10 in high vibe, over and over, just like the eagles diving over and over. And I think Janet, I can't remember Janet's last name, but Janet used to talk about the eagles diving all the time, or whatever bird she was referring to. But again, they dive and dive over and over again until it's clear enough in order to come into union. So diving deep again in high vibe energy over and over, not only just like the birds diving, but like the packing into the truck. You have to keep going upstairs and downstairs, and you don't think about it. You just keep going and going to get more stuff and put it into the truck. As the eyes of the eagle, the 18 of the moon and the 0 point, and the falling eagle who's rising above the fray, in the 2 of Cups of that 2 of Cups relationship, 1-to-1 relating, as the netcaster preparations come to fruition. The 26 of the Page of Wands for gathering around the community. The 24 of the Queen of Wands, so here we have the Queen of Wands and the Page of Wands, and the galactic mushroom, or that room where you have mushiness, and the coconut, which is funny too because my daughter asked me for coconut oil yesterday. So here's the mushroom and the coconut and the 8 of the dance and the crown games of right use of power in taking the head off of the tree. The Page of Wands and Queen of Wands then dancing in union with the horseman, heralding in the changes, which is funny because that's coming up as Teddy. The horse is coming up as the dog or the beast. The heralding change and purging to repair the veil with forgiveness, tying the pages back together. And the pages can refer to the book, but also to the pages, the Page of Cups and the Page of Wands. Tying them back together with that corseting energy, the 60 of finding peace in the watchers, the totems of peace who belong together. It's like in the totem picture, it's like two kind of goofy lions on top, but they're hugging each other. You know, they belong together, but they're as one. The 17 of the Eye of the Needle and the 17 of healing in dreams, intending dreams, and the wake-up call to the 20 of the Feast of Plenty and 722 of the Mary Magdalene feast day, and the 2 swords in a stone, and then the 50 of the emotional fulfillment of family, the happy family and spirit of the river moving into an adventure. With chaos of light in the hand as the sun comes into the world, the sun is the life, is the chaos that you need to mold and transmute into the light and the dark, the alchemical process of making something useful out of chaos and out of control. As the universe is your partner, the 38 of the Queen of Cups and the Mary Magdalene is the many masks of the authentic self, the energetic exchange of the King of the Hill, being able to see the lay of the land down below. That's his job, to understand ancestral wisdom. And the 49 again comes up here as the skywriting of the fates. And there's symbols all over this card, including, I'll show you the symbols. Those are the symbols on the card here. So the sideways hourglass, the K of energy, the M of the mountain, and then the F, and the flags at the end of a race. And I look up KMF, and it's literally the Comorian franc, the currency of Comoros, and I think it's related to Madagascar, but I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that island. But it's a French protectorate since 1886, an island off southwest Africa. To look at the sky and enjoy the show as the 3 of the Empress, or Mother Earth, Terra, Gaia, and by the way, don't forget that terrestrial is literally Terra's trial. The Empress is abundant benefactor of grace and generosity in the mushroom, right? She is the planet of mush, of emotion, of loving each other, of suddenly empty and needing to replenish, with the 43 of overflow going from the very dry to the flooded, the 43 of the coming together in joy, and the 62 of the imprisonment of anxiety, and the will-o'-the-wisp treasures that are hidden in the shadows of this, the 35 of the wounded warrior who lost their way, they lost their compass, and now getting back to their integrity, getting back to home, getting back to the lovers, the cosmic womb, and the divine feminine, the 63 of the winter's dream, like winter is a gestation period, it's like pregnancy. It's a period of stress. Again, the coal becoming the diamond, and the journey of the jeweled web, the 32 of the journey of connecting lights like at Christmas, and the divine feminine beloved with her heart on fire in radical acceptance of this. The 33 of the Christ vibration and standing up for oneself in the joyful muse of what you love to do. What are you inspired by? The music, the art. And the 64 of the bliss of the woodwives, adaptability of new growth from the trunk, because the woodwives comes up as a second trunk coming off the masculine trunk of the tree, but a little one with space between, with some space to grow. The 40 of the Page of Cups in a group think of the innocent mind, and the 27 of the newly inspired to the heart as the home, as opposed to something else, and having compassion for oneself at 355, which is the Emperor's truth. And then that was the reading for yesterday. I'm going to go right into today's message. And here's the picture for today's message. Okay, same order, same exact thing, only they each came out one card, and then 2 cards, and then the pile I had to count. So at 9:11 to 13 this morning, which is 9/11, and then they're all about endings because 9 and 13 are both ending numbers. This is when I dealt them. So some kind of emergency to transition here. or urgency to transition, and the piles came out as 9, 25, and 7, which is the Hermit, the Knight of Wands, and the Chariot. The underlying energy of Mother Earth and 18 of the purple moon, and the infinite blessings of the 17 of the healing and the dreaming, shining your light, and then the stranger of the 53, the messenger of truth, in the grounded moon, which is tomorrow, the new moon, for healing and for dreams to come true, and signs along the way. By the way, one of the plates I saw on the way home was Heck 3088, which is union in the twin flames. As the ground gets cold and fairy dust is spread over the land and amongst the people that dreams are made of, as the Knight of Swords stranger, with spirals of energy coming out from his hands, looks deeply into himself and is curious about what lies beneath that water. The little fairy in a rose seeks higher ground to see the bigger picture of love in healing the South Pole to make flowers grow in the north, cooling down the rest of the planet. So there's this energy of heating up. It's like healing and heating up the South Pole in order to grow flowers in a portal through to the North Pole, but then which cools down the rest of the planet, right? So we'll get more water. And then there's a wake-up call to the lover's dream as the Four of Swords 5D union. And in that union, the divine masculine is in deep quiet right now, reaching out for truth and balance in the stillness. The King of Swords meditating on the bridge and seeing the limitless possibilities therein, in the ego sublimation, as the mirror has smashed. And by the way, the back left window of my daughter's friend's car just got smashed. What was that? It wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. It was the 25th. So on the 25th, the smashing of the mirror literally happened. We have no idea why it got smashed or how it got smashed, but it did, and it was the left rear, which is funny because when Teddy was sick too, I kept getting the left rear hind leg as the issue. So that's the feminine hip, and there, you store anger in your joints as well. So you might want to look into your joints to see if anything comes up for you. So the Knight of Swords contemplates diving deep, curious about his own reflection. The ice cube and snowflakes coming up and laser rings as the divine feminine cools things off, preparing for the divine masculine to jump in the water with lasers in tow, creating a light show. The moon and star and the messenger of truth, or the earth with infinite blessings, and the Knight of Swords who's curious about that, about diving deep and what's deep in those waters. At 9:35, which is the Hermit and the Wounded Warrior. The first card out again is the King of Wands, the 23, in duality seeking balance, in a wake-up call from the cosmos's dodecahedron and the 12 faces of the pentagon. The divine masculine finds his own balance, but must now learn how to dance with the divine feminine and still maintain balance, like jumping into double dutch. The 13 of air and transition, and the 26 of the Page of Wands, and the pink energy of transition of the Page of Wands, the bird flying free, and the Magdalena in the life bulb or the womb, matching the sun's phased rays. Self-love and nurture, and how to be free and take care of self simultaneously. Then 9 cards came up. At the bottom of all of it was the 45 of endings, and at the top was the 7 of water. And the Icosa, which is I matter, the dolphins and water, the vehicle chariot for emotional well-being, the sign of Cancer. As the sun's rays penetrate the crystals, creating rainbow bridges everywhere for synchronistic abundance, variety, blessings, and thanks, as the Knight of Wands with a passion for life is the Page of Wands growing up to the Knight of Wands, pausing to receive healing and coming together with the King of Cups, who needs to look up and detach from drama in their life. So it's like, my daughter and her doggy coming to, distract me to see a new perspective. The 948, which is the Hermit and the 48 of walking away within, receiving the chaos of light and life to flush out the shadow, to see and purge the excess, with energetic exchange with the ancestors of appreciation and healing, and the 46 of the authentic self of the two inner children. And who are you exactly? What are you keeping and what are you ending with the 45 of compassion in the sunset at the end of each day? With Cancer, Aquarius, and Scorpio coming up there. And then at 9:53, the Hermit and the Knight of Swords, the Messenger of Truth, is the Page of Cups coming up now, 40, of showing your support. Talk to the roses and fairies inside of the roses, the innocent, vulnerable ones, which, by the way, I took a moth out of the house today. I had a little trouble getting them, but I got them to go on my hand and finally took them outside. The 26 of the Page of Wands, be true to your heart. As the Page of Cups is the more watery, airy side, the Page of Wands is coming up as the fiery, earthy, dry side. The 14 of the Temperance card and patience of the 4 seasons and the 4 elements, bridging with ether as the 5th element as a mouthpiece or double doors to acclimate through to the other side. Med beds coming too. The transition through the 4 seasons and up in the new moon. As the 25 of the Knight of Wands, there were 25 cards here. At the bottom of it all was the 19 of the Sun and shifting your energy. And at the top of it all was the 18 of the Feminine in the purple moon with new experiences and possibilities. The Knight of Wands and the Sun hovering in the mothership, so like they're changing positions. So the Knight of Wands and the Sun hovering in the mothership, where the moon child is on his horse in his castle on the ground, both adjusting to new environments. And my Vogel crystal, the way I positioned it in a vase on a circle table, keeps coming up as like powering up. So brought a horse or a unicorn and a butterfly, so bringing those energies into your life and walking away and within to hope and happiness at the beach where freedom rings. The mother unicorn is grounded on the land and meets the daughter dolphin of the sea with more flowing circular spiraling movement, both in dreamy ethers of the 3 of abundance and celebrating each other's differences and spontaneity of reaching out to pull the other in. The 44 of the grounding, integrating, and mastering how to receive love is seeking beauty in 10 to 11 candles, a dog's life, a little fairy girl, and a chariot, 7, to amplify positive emotions with the ancient ones on guard. She creates the ripples with each step she takes, as the ancient ones watch out for her. The 37 of the King of Cups with the ideal course of action, which he is unconditionally loving, down Florida way and south of Mexico. The little fairy girl pauses to touch the trunk of the tree, her touchstone for stability. Before the Queen of Wands, mermaid or sea maid, rides the sea horse, being her best self always under the sea, corralling wild Aquarius hair and the emotions of laughter. The 5 of the Hierophant is coming up as the old, the time to clear out the old, for freedom, change, and expansion, to open your heart to your destiny on Swan Lake, the Northern Cross, as the 25 of the Knight of Wands needs the blue baby blowing them a kiss to keep their dreams alive, with the 15 of the Shadow coming in to remind you to quickly hug the trunk of the tree and catch your breath to ground. The 45 of the purging of the old chaos to empower self to move to peaceful waters, and the 27 of the Ace of Wands, which is today, inspired to maintain your childlike spirit in the coolness of the shade, for the 2 of Cups of one-to-one relationship to heat up. You need to cool off first, to let love be your beacon in blushing orange of sacral chakra, and the 29 of presently contemplating what could be. The little girl lion as the mother stands by, or the little girl and her beast at 10:28. The Wheel of Fortune, that high vibration of the twins or choice of path. So at that energy of 10:28 is the 38 of the Queen of Cups again, the Mary Magdalene, with acceptance of love of her and her tree. So again, when you're not in union, you're in love with everything around you, with the trees, the flowers, your children, your pets, your house, whatever consciousness is around you. It's loving whatever, it's like love the one you're with, okay? So the Queen of Wands with acceptance of love of her and her tree and loving them. As the 49 comes up again, of self-satisfaction and heightening your vitality by being happy with yourself naturally, coming together where love matters, letting the old ship sail and the new spaceship open to you in bird formation, where earth meets sky when the water leaves, which is right now because it's very dry, reaching out to the 12 of wisdom and expansion and seeing new perspectives, bridging, hand fasting, as the divine masculine offers his hand to ground the divine feminine into his reality. The 4 + 4 of hot air balloons as 2 mountains come together in the nook between, the space between, with rainbow bridges. His buck and little girl, her castle in flower. And the 21 of the world, the divine feminine, the Pisces, with fresh approach of land meeting sea. The mothership needs a drink. She's thirsty for emotion, to lubricate her bindings, her articulation, her joints, her space between. The magical tree of green and yellow and white flowers, the dandelion, the Dan and 2 lions, or Dan of the lion tribe, the Dan with 2 U's, is dawn, the age of Atlas and intuition and brain on fire with laughter, being one with everything, with the weight of the world, as you are a mothership, just as the earth is, at 1042, the Wheel of Fortune and the 2 of Cups. Just as the motherships standing guard outside of our planet, we are all taking care of someone, the light, the sun, the energy to another. So shift and turn, using your intuition, intuit connection, the twin towers of you and I, the hovering suspension bridge, and the arcing ship, or the humpback whale. Again, the different perspectives of the sine wave up and down. The suspension bridge dips down, right? It sags, which sag is union. There you go. So when it's sagging, it's union. And when it's up, it's arcing. And this undulation, under and over, which undulating is undo being late, and then undo the LA thing was also coming up, but individuality also coming up again, because that came up the other day, of IND, IVI, and then duality, the winding of co-creation of duality. And then undulating is the undo the LA ting, or the UN, do the angels ring, getting their wings in, at 1053, the Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Swords. So back to 722 on Mary Magdalene Feast Day again, with 22 inheritances in her 1/10 inheritance, in her I-10. The Fool of 22 in her I-10. The body envelopes in which she sends me. All right, so the masculine and the feminine coming together. The U-Haul, the teeth white, 2 olive tree for dinner, the blue apple in the garden of E's den. At 1058, the Wheel of Fortune and the 4 of Swords of the 5D connection is the 36 of Atlas, lost in space, needing direction. Is Atlas spaced out, or space between the stranger who's curious about the water down under and the Knight of Swords with Fortune's wheel and the King of Wands for luck and right timing? Or is that CERN wheel, a need to discern in the space between? And is that machine causing havoc just as the needles did? At 1101 is the Justice and the 1 of the Magician, the 45 of the purging and repairing the veil of forgiveness, purging the storybook at the binding and the winding road, in and out, corseting the 2 pages, the right and the left, and the Kundalini between. The Kundalini is the weaving an unstraight line, an arced sine wave flow, back and forth, crossing each other in X's and O's. The weave of the X and the space between is the O of source embodiment. At night when you sleep, you're gassing up. In the Garden of Venus, the 25 is the Knight of Wands for rest and rejuvenation in the shade at night, or naps at day when the sun isn't around. At 11:07 of Justice and the Chariot, where 7 cards then came up, at the bottom of it all is the unwritten covenant, the 7 of the Chariot, and at the top of it all is the 28 of the Twin Flames and the hollow bone. The twin flame moose, who's humble and with natural earrings or feathers found. Perpetual student, the instrument of resonance, the sound waves, the Y that is the tuning fork that mountains or maintains both sides when holding the stem, the union, but I'm also getting the vision right now. The 5 of closing the door on the old for the freedom of change and expansion. No leaving it open a crack to see back. Remember this, the crack that breaks your mother's back? The 16 of the sudden empty well, and it's time to replenish. For resonance, as in ultrasound, needs fluidity, water and air. The light in the air passing through the water for rainbows and arcs. The 46 of the root girl, the inner children and the disowned self, who's starved for water, emotion, laughter. The 18 of the purple moon in the eyes of the eagle, and the ear ringing, rising above the fray. The ocular and the oracle, the electric eye, the pupil opening and closing according to the iris, the gate holder and the black hole. The lens and the shutter, and shutter I land. The land and the black sea, allowing the light in, the 0 point field. The eyes of the eagle, the EA to glee, the eagle, and the E-gull is the capital E, one equal and congruent to the gull. Gull, a bull. Able, just smaller than the eagle, and able to dive underwater to fish. The 20 of the wake-up call to the feast of plenty, that there's enough for all. 2 as one, as the honeybee and the crystal light come together in their choices and their consequences. No need to overdo. 2 can share a sundae or a fountain drink. 2 swords in the stone initiates you, the unwritten covenant, uncharted territory, ascending to the new world. As the divine feminine within the masculine, in the mass vehicle of the chariot of water and air, or space and the lubricant for the binding pages and connecting your stories, the infinite high rise, from root to tip, from bottom of the tree trunk to the eagle's perch on the mountain, from 2 children to 0 point, 2 swords set in stone, with Merkaba between, 2 messengers of truth, with open declaration of independence, writing their own story, feathers in hand, and scroll work, from coal to diamond, 2 almonds, 2 all-stars, Iron Man to crystal line, the Queen's wave in perfected timing, tick-tock. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead, at 11:33 of Justice and the Christ vibration standing up for oneself in truth and balance. Okay, so let me see, I guess I have time. It's 1:13 now. I can get into the 7-deck read for you because that's not too long. So very profound energies right there. You might need to listen to that more than once because there's very important information in that. All right, so here's the 7-deck read on the table. And remember we had the Libra energy of Justice, Mars, and Scorpio there. So very Scorpio and Libra there. Which I talked about Scorpio too in the 13 sign chart with Ophiuchus. Scorpio is only 1 week, so it's very important because it's very potent. It's limited to 1 week as opposed to the 3 or 4 weeks that the other signs were. And Scorpio is very much about deep diving into the dark places where a lot of people don't like to go. And Scorpio is very comfortable with that. So the 7-deck read on the table here, and it's 1:14:33 now. So here is the main read. We see the Lovers with the last card pulled actually at the top. Okay. And then here's the 7-deck read with all of the cards on the table. Okay. So this one was cut and dealt at 828. 8 is the dance, the manifestation of dreams, the masculine and feminine, the strength, inner and outer strength, and the 28 of the twin flames. At 838, ER came up, which is the urgency, and also the X of flames, as we just talked about the X's and O's being the mass and then the space between. And the X is the two twins coming together in the 1/8 dance, right? Instead of turning a quarter each, if they each turn an eighth, they become the X and come together. Because if they turn a quarter each, then it's a wash because they end up on the same line. There's no contrast there. So the ER of urgency at 838, which is the dance of the Queen of Cups and Mary Magdalene Day that just passed, and the X of flames, which X marks the spot. It can be the X in drama, as well as, again, what I just talked about, the X's and O's of the mass of the twins coming together and the space between. And AIMS also came up, AMES, or AMES, can be friendships as well, or the urgent need for friends, or that urgent need for that perfect balance of the X's and the O's, the space and the mass are coming together. At 852 is the strength again, and the 52 of the Queen of Swords, as the major arcana came up as, sorry about that, to unblur the screen. The major arcana came up as the reflection, which is the Hermit, transition, which is the Death card, ascension, which is the World, which is also Virgo, Scorpio, and Pisces. And then before the read, Karma and Indigo came up. And Karma is the Judgment card, which is also, for me, Aquarius. And then Indigo is the Magician, which is Gemini. And then we have, at the end, after the read, is Luna and the Lovers, so the Moon and the Lovers. So again, Cancer and Gemini coming up again. There were 3 cups, 3 wands, 2 cups, and 3 swords. There were no pentacles in the main cards, so 323, which is the 2 threes on the outside with the 2 in the middle. Very interesting. After talking about the 2 pillars with the Merkaba in the middle, which is the 2 triangles coming together. Or the 2 pyramids, actually. The Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords come together with the Page of Swords in the read. And then before the read is the Queen of Wands and the King of Pentacles. After the read is the Queen of Swords. There were double 1s and double 7s in here for the 17 as well. The 11 of Justice, the 77 of the Sovereign in their truth and balance, and the 17 of their dreams coming true. We also have the 12 of the Hanging Man, the 67 of the Knight of Pentacles, and the 10 of the High Vibrational Destiny of the Wheel. And keeping that vibration high, as well as the 25 of the Knight of Wands, the 56 of the 2 of Swords being your knowing, and the 710, which is 0 backing up the co-creation of the twins, the 3 of Pentacles. The code line is all about time out and individuality, and it was broken down into T and then I'm out, like someone's taking a break because they're out, and then individuality was breaking up into IND, and then I-viduality, which I brought up before as the co-creation of duality, the winding co-creation of duality. So the messages came up as this. The SMA, a lot of medical references were coming up, so I don't know if people are dealing with hospitals right now, but they could be. The SMA is the superior mesenteric artery, could be coming up if you're having it stented or some kind of feeding to the intestines going on, any issues around that. But seeking the divine feminine, who's adept at the twin flames, adept human, AST, which is also a lab result. AST is part of the liver panel. And then I'm out, toggling up, I'm out, or IME out, and then IND, which is an investigational new drug. So that's a research project and co-creating duality. So this first one is coming out a lot of medical stuff, doing liver panels, perhaps doing some kind of intestinal research regarding an investigational new drug. And then the Sophia Mother comes up as well. Night 2 of Flames and Drama, and Night 0 as check I'm out, co-creating duality. So something about checking out, but it's interesting too because Dr. Check is coming up. But also TIND, and tinder came up briefly, but tind means a lot of things. It means to ignite, to kindle, the animal's horn, the unicorn horn, the deer's antlers, a spike, a tooth or harrow, a limb or protruding arm or branch, the mountain's peak, the pinnacle, and the point or prong. So again, reaching the top. The woman or girl or person, the darling, babe, or atomic mass unit. So there's the mass versus space coming up as well. Seeking the twin flame, aiding part-time, twin flames, night zero, as check-in, time out, the union of similar cells, the indigo, and co-creating duality in that winding road. And also, I don't like saying suck my butt, but that's suck my A is coming up as energy, seeking the twin flame after death test, choice of path. The night zero, which can reference as the 0 point of the night, the soldier night. And ass check, I'm out. Again, the ivy, an ivy duel, like dueling ivy is like, again, the kundalini energy of the dueling ivies, which ivy climbs and never ends. And the ivy duel of I being in gratitude, to ignite, unicorn, pinnacle, and reach the top. I don't know if someone's telling someone to kiss off, or, kiss my butt type of energy here. But there's literally a butt check too. So somebody could be at the doctor, having hemorrhoids or something like that with the butt. And literally worms could be coming up too with ivy. So whatever it is, there's definitely some medical stuff coming up in there. But as well, I'm losing my voice a little bit too. Maybe someone's not speaking up because they're, someone's embarrassed to go in about something because something weird. Maybe they did something they shouldn't be doing and then they got something from it, so they're embarrassed to go to the hospital. But don't delay things. If you need care, get care. There's the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords here, as well as the Twin Flames and the Two of the High Priestess, the Divine Feminine. And then the reflection, the Hermit, is upright in this read. So at 9:58, I start here with the Hermit and the Four of Swords, which is the 5D connection between the twins. So at the top here is the reflection card, the Hermit on top with the mini cards. And below that reflection is the Karma reversed, Five of Swords reversed, Indigo upright, Queen of Wands reversed, and the King of Pentacles reversed. So needing to swallow pride post-war, as the Indigo is proposing the Queen of Wands to the Queen of Wands reversed and the King of Pentacles reversed to perhaps reflect or get advice. The Fool is free from the fallen angel, destined, or Libra, as the Hermit sheds light and the Queen of Wands reversed with unfair advertising, messaging, or stepping up to the plate. Slithering away guilty, perhaps a death of a marriage with clarity of the Ten of Cups, upright, emotional fulfillment, or happy family, with destiny of the Knight of Pentacles, frustrated and constantly gardening, the constant gardener, offering help with no growth and reaping rewards, and then not aroused, offering help with no rewards. This energy of arousal with dark energies grounding, or the dark horse with short limbs, or short on going out on a limb. And there's little arousal around this, with the Knight of Pentacles upright lacking inspiration to manifest something significant. With the Hierophant upright, or Taurus, in a marriage, religion, or establishment here, unable to sleep or awake and rising above, manifesting big time with new information and letting sleeping dogs lie, with roses flourishing in balance, a job nearly done, must be number one, and a commitment to magic or Taurus and Gemini, where you deserve love, and beneath that was very soon in the underlying energies. In a risky relationship that's not working out, or no more energy stealing, the Six of Cups memories of the fall or getting their wish with the Queen of Cups, with legs and doves or lovebirds, glamping at skytop or pinnacle, and sad memories of glamping and hugging someone else. Or the Six of Cups soulmates or kids happy alone with the Queen of Cups, and the adventure of the 55 of the whole truth, and healing with the 66 of the Queen of Pentacles, and the golden gate of the two spirals of the rose heart coming together, the 10-22 of the Wheel of Fortune, and the 22 of the Fool's Journey, and the Knight of Wands reversed who fell off their horse, and healing on out of cold adventure. The Knight of Wands fell off their horse and healing out in the cold on an adventure, with dreams exposed of a vacation or of work, coming out about an ill parent or the inequity and discomfort with emotions of the Knight of Swords, messenger of truth, or the Knight in shining armor, and not sharing imperfect feelings or emotional messiness with the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords coming out the constant gardener with clarity on the Queen of Cups' adventure, paralyzed by passions and healing together out in the cold, as drained, starting up in a split or standing up in a split and grieving and drained by that, or this can be children out of control as well. But the recent past is the Ace of Swords reversed, the split, the lie, the divide. Suddenly the King of Pentacles is reversed or ungrounded or uninspired under the radar, frustrated without growth and in need of attention, as the Knight of Pentacles is offering help at home or proposing union, burdened, juggling their world, neighborhood, divine feminine, Pisces, or sudden events, epiphanies, or sexual exchange, a sudden split of the King of Pentacles reversed, and the foundation of the Ten of Cups and the Six of Cups both upright, emotional fulfillment of soulmates, and offered love by a pet, Leo, being good, the Sun reversed and drained or kids out of control, with poor judgment in a split at 11-13 of alignment and justice, and death, ending, or transition in dark night. The central energy of the Knight of Wands reversed, an uncomfortable feeling post-war, reaping and starting over, but perhaps bummed at 11-15, which is justice and the devil, or shadow side, challenged by the twin flame, or the Six of Pentacles reversed with the Ten of Pentacles upright and the Eight of Wands reversed, not sharing with that Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or community, in a heated exchange at the workplace or bar with drinks, and the Emperor reversed in a heated exchange or betrayal with the Knight of Cups reversed, who could be jealous or feeling rejected, emotionally abused by arrogant man, or sexual abuse, rape coming up as well, and grieving, the Emperor reversed, High Priestess upright, the Devil reversed, and the Two of Cups upright. The connection with detoxing the fallen angel, and the injustice of awakening to the Knight of Wands player falling short, uncomfortable with emotions of betrayal and a nightmare at 12 o'clock on the dot. And now is the Seven of Cups reversed, repeating steps or going downstairs in the end of a cycle with the Queen of Cups standing up now, a High Priestess, Page of Wands, with the truth that is destined. Pisces and Libra, Knight of Swords as well. Sharing in exile, present to romantic tie, and poor judgment in not sharing at 7-26, the Chariot and the Page of Wands, with the Knight of Swords upright and no affection, or the Knight of Swords with Gemini in their chart, letting go on a quest to or as the King of Cups, and the Page of Cups, maybe partners, with the Queen of Swords to dump emotional attachments, her own emotional attachments, to death, to change, to endings, and transition through detox or dark night or unnatural ending, as the wounded warrior suffering in silence, or perhaps dealing with a sister in betrayal, in a breakup or withholding of affections, awake to the Knight of Wands reversed and uncomfortable with their emotions and stressed out at night. Soon as the Knight of Swords sending 5D messages to move to a more peaceful place after the workplace with bad influences and hanging out with the King of Wands, working to align with a message of peace. Taking words or ideas from the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the Page of Pentacles reversed, who may be performing together, and making a getaway before this happens. Satisfied hanging out with Hermit to find peace, with Pisces and Capricorn both upright and reversed here. The twin flames seeing themselves as the Page of Swords upright, message of healing and dreams, with the Empress reversed, or lack of abundance, and the Ten of Pentacles family, business, or community around the world. So they're saying there's abundance everywhere, so why am I struggling? Or the Page of Swords Aquarius is with the Empress reversed, or perhaps an ill mother, or speaking on their mother's behalf. This can be a grandmother or an aunt or somebody like that as well. To the Ten of Pentacles family, business, or community, or to the neighborhood, to the world, the Divine Feminine or Pisces, a naturally abundant world, released from anxieties just for the moment anyway, releasing an ex and retreat, but even more so reconciliation and let your friends help. Around the twins, or how they're seen, is the transition through the portal, the twin flame present and offering a choice to work hard and be inspired with the Page of Wands, with a big offer to the wounded warrior. The twin flames inspired to give them a break, and the Page of Swords, maybe Aquarius or Pisces or Scorpio fire, a message of the mother or grandmother healing, or Taurus reversed, or after a childbirth here, and the mother's just recovering at 7:49, which is the Chariot and the getting your wish. So perhaps as 3 pages skip, perhaps the Scorpio, there's a Scorpio with a big offer to the wounded warrior, and there's a lot of fire here. The block is the Ascension world, the sister, or suffering in silence, or not sleeping, and them making a big trip or a move. And the King of Wands stealing their peace, as the Queen of Pentacles and Sovereign, which can be a mother and daughter, or just both earth signs reversed or ungrounded, persevering and synchronicities, or actually time out. The Queen of Pentacles and the Sovereign both reversed, which can be a dependent of the Queen of Pentacles, with lack of sleep but making it work anyway, with time out and individuality, but even more so persevering and synchronicities, as the twin flames are out to eat or dreaming about playing footsie under the table, with Pisces examining details or a new pursuit, an invitation, and the Six of Wands reversed downstairs in need of attention, deception, or subconscious shadows lurking, getting up too early under the radar, or failing with the Page of Pentacles Capricorn, or Pisces rising above, falling short, or falling off the wagon and frustrated, and uninspired, reaping rewards of the new moon tomorrow, with the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords too? Or is the Queen of Swords like a King of Swords, or schooling themselves, keeping themselves in check? With the Hermit upright and the Ten of Cups upright, and the Page of Swords in transition, in a split, divide, or need for clarity, with the Knight of Wands reverse, player falling short, or just got tired and couldn't follow through, or someone's paralyzed by their passions, the challenge being the twin flames and the Knight of Swords and the Ascension world, repeating steps or coming downstairs, or first attempt failed or fell under the radar and frustrated, being still, or daydreaming at the new moon with the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Wands and King of Pentacles are both reversed here. Perhaps the King of Pentacles reversed could be Virgo, a doctor, or an advisor, after an indigo proposed to them to split, divide, or get more information about the Knight of Swords. The Ten of Cups is between the Hermit and the Knight of Wands, who's reversed, and challenged by twin flames and dumping emotional attachments, as the Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords are both upright here, perhaps 2 siblings who are both air signs, or friends, or just lots of messages there, transitioning, completing a cycle under the radar, or failed and needy for attention-seeking behavior and needing inspiration to reap rewards at the new moon with the Queen of Swords at 8:08, which is the twin flames with space between. All right, so we're all set. I'm just going to pull an energy deck card so we don't go too long here. See what comes up for you guys. What is the takeaway from these reads from yesterday and today? as the masculine is looking to balance, for sure. There's a lot of aggressive energy that needs to learn to balance, like they've learned to balance within themselves, and now they need to learn to do that with another. So what is our, oh, that came right up. That hopped like right up and out like that. Victory, the 28 twins. That's, I just leave it with that card. Victory for the twins. And there's that energy of Caesar here as well. And she's got a crown on as well. A natural crown. The 28's that choice of path and victory and the peace of it. There is another card here it wants to come off too, which is the indecision here. It's like the masculine and the feminine. And which road do I pick? The 8 of the dance. And the indecision around that. Right? Because when you're not sure, you're not supposed to do anything at all. You're supposed to wait until you're sure. But there is abundance here. The 11 of alignment and justice, truth, and balance, of thanksgiving every day. And that indecision can also be representative of the space between. Right? The feminine at peace and the masculine in abundance in the 11 of finding balance, and the dance of the space between and what to do with that space between. But either way, it's very positive energy here. And there's the next 2 cards is the masculine energy coming together in joy, holding a coin, and in the sun. And there's the feminine energy of basking in the sun, right? And pampering themselves. So it's very beautiful energy. Liberty's coming up too. I don't want to go too much into it, but patience and liberty is coming up too. The Statue of Liberty and timelines here. The 16 of sudden events and patience, right? Not being unhappy with being at the top. The pillar was coming up too. The branch or the peak branch, not needing to be the best at everything. That's not the point. The 13 is the transition and financial constraints of what to fill your cabinet with. The 51 of the King of Swords and Healer of the Ages. Okay, so he's in his power here in healing after the door to romance and opening his heart. The 33 is standing up for themselves and not martyring themselves, coming into his abilities of the King of Swords. And then with whatever constraints, they don't have to be financial constraints, but whatever's empty in the cupboard and needing to transition through this next step. And then that's the underlying energy though. So that's passing as we're coming into this energy of abundance here and the space between and what to do with that space between. And then coming in with the man holding a coin and taking a vacation perhaps. And a new adventure, the sun, with the sun. I'm going to pull one more card. I'm just going to do Lenormand Reverie, and then we'll let you go. It's 1:22 on the clock, and it's right on the dot. Was 3800 there. Is the Queen of Cups, and the Fool's Journey, and the Magician. All right, last card, please. Just one summary card, please. One card. It's getting kind of messy. One card that summarizes the dance. So this can be death, but it's death of the old, if anything. And there's Teddy going back and forth. But it's the dance between the masculine and the feminine, between the doctor and the patient, in duality, and finding your sovereignty here. Okay? And the 2 sides of yourself, right? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is everyone has multiple sides of themselves, and reconciling those differences within self and then with another, and finding your sovereignty here and letting go of what's toxic in your life, with the Queen of Wands and the Snake, and the 7 is the Chariot, right? So what is the vehicle of infiltration that's toxic in your life that you need to let go of, right? Here's the breakthrough of the King of Wands, of the Lovers and loving himself, and what's toxic in his life and what needs to leave. And there's again is the masculine energy of Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, and taking a risk to be that Knight of Cups and be love in a 2 of Cups connection, destination unknown. And then there's the Sun coming up after that, of a new life with the Ace of Pentacles here, exposing a new life and getting out of Dodge there. All right, you guys, Remember your water, your rest, your joy, your nature. Go hug a tree. I have to go water my trees, actually, and my plants. And rise and be loved. And say hi to Teddy. Teddy, say hi. So he's looking back. Can't say. Say hi. Say hi. There you go. He's such a good boy. Okay, rise and be loved, you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.